hello once more. Again, we find ourselves in the chapel here at St. Margaret. And actually, the reason we're back here is that after the first reflection I did back in May, when I was finished, Brother Kevin came in, and along with Kathy, we discussed the Cross of San Domiano in a lot more detail than we had time to do at the first reflection. And some other folks had made some requests. What's all the other things on there, besides what we talked about the last time? So I thought today would be a good idea to take a real in-depth look at the cross itself, the Cross of San Domiano, the Franciscan cross, and all that it is. The cross itself is an icon. The word icon comes from the Greek, which means image or picture. And it is said that a picture is worth 1,000 words. And that is very, very true. Even in the Catholic Catechism, it says that the iconography of the church, that the picture and the word supplement each other, support each other, and illuminate each other. So today we're going to take a full look, as we look at the cross of San Domiano, and as it looks back at us. When people think of icons, probably they think most of all of an icon that looks like this, rectangular in shape. An icon, as I said, is a sacred image. It's painted on wood, okay? And the artist himself, sometimes referred to as the writer of the icon, he will fast and pray before and during the time that he's putting the icon together. This particular icon is an icon of the dormition of the Mother of God, the falling asleep of the Mother of God, of Mary, or her death. And you see here in the icon, the body of Mary here, the disciples gathered around here, Jesus himself standing here in white, holding what appears to be his child. Actually, it is her soul. So what happens when dormition means the falling asleep, as I said, the soul will separate from the body and then be immediately reunited as she is assumed into heaven. So this is an icon. The cross itself, even though it's not rectangular, is still very much an icon because it has all the characteristics of what an icon is. And as you look at an icon, you want to take a look at the colors, because the colors, the figures, the gestures of the figures, the writings on it, the symbolic meaning of different items on it, all tell the story. So today, let's take a closer look at the icon, the cross of San Domiano. Well, obviously, the main and central character is Christ himself. He's the largest of all the characters, and you can see he is illuminated. He stands out, very much from the rest of the characters. He is not the dead Christ. He is the Christ who's alive and well, as we said last week, that we worship a living God. And you can see that he is not slumped over. He is alive and well. He's standing on his own. His arms, you can see, are not rigid as they would be in death, but they are relaxed. He still bears the wounds in his side, in his hands, and his feet. He is the wounded Christ, yet he is the strong Christ. And as you take a look at his garments here, his vestments, he's wearing a white loincloth that is trimmed in gold. And the gold is the sign of victory, the white sign of purity. If you take a look at his face, look at the eyes especially. The eyes are looking serenely out at the world. Notice the halo. The halo itself, you can see the triumphant cross within the halo itself. He's not wearing the crown of thorns, but the halo of triumph here. As the story continues, you see moving up, it says Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews, and then right above that you see Jesus in a red medallion surrounded by the black, and he ascends into heaven here. Now, depending on some people, as they think about exactly who are the people up there, some say they're angels, some say they're saints, but whoever they are, there are 10 folks up there welcoming Jesus into heaven. And right above you see a little semicircle, and you see the hand of the Father reaching out with 2 fingers in a blessing to his Son for all the good that he has done and will continue to do. The picture itself, it has Christ. As I said, we have life, we have death, we have resurrection. We have the whole Paschal mystery tied here into one. The cross itself is really the Gospel of John in a way, because Jesus is in charge. It is high Christology. Jesus is the one who has all things under control. As you take a look once again at the figure of Jesus, look behind the arms, the black and the red. The black represents the empty tomb. The red, the color red, always represents love in iconography here. And you see under his arms here, two sets of angels here, very animately talking with one another of the great things that have happened. The resurrection of the Lord. Christ is risen, truly he is risen. At the end of the bar of the cross here, you see they call them two unknown figures. They're not quite sure who they are. Some say maybe angels. These are angels without wings if they are. But something, maybe they represent St. Peter and John, who got to the tomb, on that first Easter day. As you continue along, the next biggest figures on the icon itself are the figures here. And here we have Mary, the mother of Jesus, John, the beloved disciple, Mary Magdalene here, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and the Roman centurion here. Below each one is actually their names. Maria, Ioannis, Maria, then it says centurion here. When you look at an icon, this particular icon, we notice that the colors say something too. Mary has the purple color, which represents she is the Ark of the Covenant, who carried Christ and gave Christ to the world, the Theotokos, the God-bearer. John, the beloved disciple to whom Jesus entrusted his mother, he has a white garment here representing once again purity, and then sort of a pink garment here which represents eternal wisdom. Mary Magdalene, of course, in the most significant color here for her is red, which once again represents deep love, and the dark blue over it simply deepens that love. Mary, the wife of Cleophas, she has sort of an earthen colored garment here with a darker green here, this representing basically the earthen color humility, and the green telling us of great hope. The centurion here, you see him here, he also is standing with a block of wood in his hand. The block of wood tells us he was the one that helped the Jews build their synagogue. And behind him, you see the face of his son, the son that was saved. When he asked, he sent a messenger to Jesus, and Jesus was getting ready to come. He said, no, only say with the word. I'm not worthy that you should come under my roof, but only say the word, and my son shall be healed. And so it was. So this is his son back here, and then you see like the tops of three little heads behind him there, which represents the rest of the family, because he and his son and the family then, it is said traditionally, were brought in and became Christians themselves. Well, as you take a look at the rest of the cross, you see that the cross itself is surrounded by a scroll-like decoration here, which we do think represents the vine, like the vine and the branches. Down here, the smaller figure here is that of Longinus, which traditionally is the name given to the Roman soldier who thrust the spear into the side of Christ. Over here is a gentleman, his name was Stephathon, or Stephen in English, and he was the one who put the sponge on the end of the stick with the wine, reaching it up to Jesus at the time of the crucifixion. As we go around, we see down here, you have to have very, very good eyes to see this. Right about here, there's a fowl, which we think is a rooster, okay? And the rooster then would represent a couple of things, possibly. Certainly the rooster that crowed with Peter's denial 3 times, and also not just that, but on the positive side, representing a new dawn, the rising of a new dawn with the rising of Christ, and all that he has accomplished and will continue to accomplish. Down at the bottom of the cross here were 6 saints, the pictures of 6 saints. The bottom has been touched so many times and that it's actually, you can't see too much what's happening here. And the best thing we can do is make some educated guesses at who they are. We think, according to some scholars, that they represent saints of the local area. Some say that one here would be Saint Domiano, San Domiano, for whom the church was named, for which you get the cross, the San Domiano. Another, Saint Michael would be here, Saint John the Baptist. This possibly over here would be Peter and Paul, and Saint Rufino, who's one of actually the patron saint of Assisi. but we're not quite sure. Others say maybe it was, they're not quite sure, it could be John or somebody else, but it's been touched so many times. At the very, very bottom it appears what looks like a rock, which would represent the church, the sure foundation of all that we see here. So as you take a look at the icon, it is the whole history of salvation, you might say. And here we see, Jesus, the risen Christ, the strong Christ, very much alive and very much with us. And as we look at an icon, if there are different types of prayers. We have in the Catechism, so we have prayers of praise, prayers of adoration, prayers of blessing, prayers of contrition, prayers of all sorts of things. And so what happens here? A prayer of gaze is your best thing. Look at the icon. Gaze at the icon. What does it say to you? What do you say to it? What do you say to Jesus? What do you hear him saying back to you? And all the other figures here. So as we come together and contemplate and meditate and then imitate the actions of Christ, gaze upon true love and let true love gaze back